Okay. What is going on? You are watching and listening to Tags Live, aka Talk About Gay Sex, the live version of our show. This, if you're listening to it, is episode 242. I am your host, Steve V, alongside Cody Maurice Doggett. Cody, how are you doing?
Hello, darling. I'm doing well. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Hanging in there, having a good hump day. Actually, it's going pretty well. I asked my other co-host on Tag's podcast the other day on how their Valentine's Day was and how they spent it. I
Oh,
couldn't help but not ask you how your Valentine's Day was.
well,
And
thank you.
yeah.
You were always in my heart during Valentine's Day, so there that is. But I had a date and it was wonderful. Yeah, we had a great time. We went to dinner. We did lots of Valentine's-y things. I got to play it for Valentine's Day.
What's a play it?
A plant.
Oh, plant. Oh, no. Plant.
A plant.
I forgot. Okay, so most people don't just go out on dates on Valentine's Day because it typically means a whole lot more than...
Does it?
Yeah, it does. I'm just going to blast you here. And I have a feeling that this person might be a little bit more special than just a simple date. What can you tell us? I'm probing you.
Way to put me on blast.
By the way, people, Cody brought this topic up. He wanted to talk about his Valentine's
what our Valentine's plans were. So I am going to tell you that I have been on a couple dates with this person, and I'm enjoying my time with them. Let's just put it there and leave it there.
Because you know what, I'm just going to push a little more, because you know when you date somebody and Valentine's Day comes around, typically in the past, if I had been dating somebody in a non-pandemic, and I was dating somebody and Valentine's was creeping up, if it was just sort of casual, I probably would avoid the day and let's get together on the 6th.
Really?
Yeah, if it wasn't there yet. If it wasn't there yet, yeah. Help me out here.
I am here. I'm here for all the dates. Oh, I need all the love. I would go out on a date with you on Valentine's Day.
Well, I've done that with friends before for sure. And I love that because I think so many people make it all about relationships. And I call my mom, and it's love is love, right? But it can get a little dicey when you're dating somebody and it's in those early phases. Like, who goes there? So that's why I'm thinking maybe it was a little bit more, it's more than you're alluding to than what you're saying.
Teddy said, I am a giver, and everybody knows that. And I'm all about the love. So I'm here to spend time with the people. So it's a great Valentine's Day. I had a wonderful time. I enjoyed spending time with this person, but we are not official yet.
Okay. All right. That's what I wanted to hear. And we can now move on. Well, one of our sponsors is adamstoybox.com, where you guys can get 20% off all of their toys, especially in this time. It's a great time to fill up or reinvigorate your toy box by going over to adamstoybox.com and get 20% off every toy they have in their website. Just use our promo code, though, TAGS, TAGS, at checkout. And one of them was this nifty toy that I just wrote about on TAGSPodcast.com, a whole review. And it's called the Man Squeeze.
Ooh.
This is it.
I love a good man squeeze. Oh, that's a toy you wrote about in the article.
I just wrote about it. No, that was a different one. Yeah, sorry.
I'm confused. She's done lots of articles, honey. Oh, wait. But it's a different toy?
Yeah, so this one is like a cylinder, and then you take it off. And
they look the same on the outside, but on the inside, it's a little bit different.
Well, okay, so all I'm going to tell you is you read my article, go to TAGSPodcast.com. It's called The Man Squeeze. Also know that you can get 20% off this toy. We're going to be giving this away this month for a lucky listener, and more details to come on that. But one funny thing that I will share, that I share on my article, is when I was writing about it, and I've had one of these for a while. And if you notice at the top, it says Pierce Paris, which is the model you're looking at right now.
Oh,
Who's
is that his I don't know how to his
well, okay.
his
No. You just took away the whole thing. So
I'm so sorry.
that's okay. But the whole point of it was I went on their website scrolling around, and there's various man squeezes on their product line with different models, and they'll say different models names on there, and I was like wondering, what is that all about? Well, okay, you already ruined it, but to the point being is that yes, this is apparently Pierce's Paris's butthole and what it looks like. And all I can say is in the article I write, he may be the one to make me, his butthole might be the one that turns this bottom into a top.
What?
Just saying.
Wow. It looks tasty.
Well, I just couldn't understand why there was different models, and you wouldn't think, wow, they would mold. It literally says on the box, molded directly from Pierce Paris.
That's what I think when I see the model on there. I'm like, because he looks like a porn star.
But
I mean, not that there's a look, but
you would think, first of all, the product by itself doesn't look like it's a butthole until you take off the bottom cap. Secondly, how do you
maybe I've seen a bunch of buttholes and I know what buttholes look like.
How does one model for their butthole on a product? That's what I want to know.
That is a wonderful question.
Well, that's what I
would like to know.
My mind did not go there immediately to think that this Pierce Paris was modeling his butthole for this product, because honestly, the other ones look almost exactly the same until you get really up in there and you can see
wow.
This is what Pierce's butthole looks like. I mean, maybe I'm going to see Cody's butthole up next, and we're going to know. They would have to make this color browner, a different shade.
But equally as tasty. JJ says we should make one, so he'll order 2 of each.
Okay.
And then Teddy says they do a cast. He has a friend that had one made. So I just want to know how they do that safely.
Of your butt?
Of your butt, the inside.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going into the anal cavity, just people. Let's keep it.
Oh, really?
No, I mean it's
outside.
It's the puckered up part of this.
I'm confused.
It's
clearly.
just They also, this product, interestingly, for our lesbian followers or anybody that's into some straight, they do the same product with a vagina, and which I've been watching a lot of straight porn lately, and I'm not mad at it. So it's interesting. It's the same product, just a vagina, but each vagina is different based on the different model that's on the box cover, just like your cereal box. But they all different. Wheaties, they got one. There's different. Some
just
have
like your cereal box.
Yes. Just saying.
But you can't eat just one, is what you just told me.
Teddy says, I'm turning into a lesbian top. We need this COVID to end. I know, Teddy, what's going on with me? I'm expanding my horizons and my love of genitalia all over. It's more of an expansive love. All right. Well, we have just a few minutes to move on to this was a fun topic that we came across, right, Cody? The first one that we're going to get to. All right. Listen up, people. So there's a Cocktails and Cocktaw, one of my favorite sites in the UK, listed a whole list of 6 types of daters to emerge since the pandemic began. And they write, we all know of one couple, whether it be directly or indirectly, that entered the pandemic in a relationship and isn't leaving it the same way. A recent survey from Bumble predicted that 23% of those in relationships didn't find their happy ending due to the coronavirus. And this means that the dating market, both at present and even more so in the summer, will be saturated with new dawn daters. These have also been referred to as the COVID dumped. Ouch, right? Here I'm about to present what they present. 5 other types of daters you'll recognize while fighting the real pandemic to try and find real love. And let's just go through these, all right? If you want to play, Cody. So,
oh yeah, I'm ready.
The first one that they list is is it called the pandamner?
Pandammer.
Pandammer. Okay, so this is,
yes.
Yeah. Someone who will chat and flirt endlessly online due to the lockdown, boredom, but have zero intentions of actually meeting up. And in fact, most of these guys won't even go on a virtual chat, let alone a walk. And while we agree that virtual dates are awkward, we do believe that phone chats are vital before getting a stroll with someone that has no chat other than the latest COVID stats. Boring. So, Cody, have you seen any of these pandamner? How do you say it?
Pandammer. That's what I think it is.
Pandamner.
Okay.
There you go.
Perfect. Let's go with that. Pandamner. So I feel personally attacked by this article because I feel like I am all of these things. Well, at least a couple of them. I am definitely a pandammer. I have felt the pandemic boredom, and I just talk to people on the apps with no intention of actually meeting them in person, talking on the phone, Zooming with them, none of that, none of the above. Just how are you doing? Just to get some human contact. I am guilty of this. Yes.
I have sort of a bone to pick with the first one, though, and I'm really not mad at your.
With me, you're
not with you. No, with the intention of the first listing, the pandamner. We can't even say it, so let's just start with that.
Throw it out the window.
Throw it out the window. We're working on some sound effects for the 2.0 here, people. But I have to say, dating is one thing. When you go out and about, essentially we're playing that same game. So you might go to 2 or 3 different bars in one night. Okay, we did. We went to 4 or 5.
Hello.
And essentially we're talking and meeting different people throughout the night. I might get a phone number by somebody that I have no intention of ever calling them back, but maybe they were aggressive and insisted that I take their number or they get my number.
Yeah.
So I take it like that. The other thing is, in this COVID era, what's wrong with just talking to different people and trying to figure out, you want to make sure that they're not an axe murderer, that they're not going to come over and kill you. We already are scared of COVID. We do not also want to get murdered. Those are your 2 jobs. Don't get COVID and don't get murdered when you are in these things. And so I think it's a little simplified the way they stated that. Let's move on though. The next one is called the bug brainers. B-U-G, brainers. And talking of those who can't keep the pandemic out of their mouth, the bug brainers, like most of us, they've been out of the dating game for a while, but the difference is that they can't seem to switch off from it in the romantic setting. And we can we can all agree that there's nothing sexy about death tolls and travel corridors. I'm wondering if I would be in that category because you're like, yeah,
you're
you
in
are.
any of how do I put this as kindly as possible? If you're in any of them, then this would be the one that you're in.
Okay. I don't know that I would talk exclusively about it, but I would want to always talk about the reality of what's going on.
And you're so knowledgeable about it.
Well, only because I'm addicted to like a news junkie and always on stuff like that. But I would also I think I would be hyper aware too much of the situation that would be going on. So I might be reminding the person that I'm dating that you and I might just be in a bubble right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Is this really real? Are we only liking each other because of the pandemic? And when the pandemic's over, I might be getting in my head too much and making this person crazy.
I can see that. So
let's get through these. I want you to weigh in on the next one called the tracer. People who are suddenly looking for quote unquote the one because they can't bear another lockdown alone. So it's essentially what people do in hibernation in winter, right? When you say they're trying to get that one, but this one's more not for winter and hibernation, but in the fear that maybe there's another pandemic coming along and they want to be ready so that they're in lockdown. But hopefully they don't end up being like the stats say, break up in a pandemic. What are your thoughts on that one?
it's called cuffing season when you're in the winter months when this is another one that I really associate myself with, but I'm always looking for a boo, so that's where it's kind of different. I just am trying to be booed up all the time. So yeah, the article's really coming for me on this one, and I want to fight this guy. I don't know where he lives, but he can catch these hands.
You know, the last one is the masked bandit when someone is well, actually the last two are fun. I'm going to go a little over time, Cody, on these last two because they're pretty good. The vaccinator is the next one, someone who won't date unless both parties have had the vaccine. And that's something that I think could be really relevant right now, as we talked about it on TAGSPodcast recently, where people are starting to put vaccinated on their Grindr or Scruff profiles as a way to, I guess, say they're vaccinated. And I don't know if they mean they're only going to get with people that are vaccinated. I'm not sure what they really mean by that. I hope people don't use the vaccine in those ways in terms of dating. I mean, I think it's one thing we all should be vaccinated, in my opinion, but I don't think we should be putting it on our profiles, maybe, but not in a way that's going to make somebody that's further down the line who hasn't gotten theirs feel bad.
Yeah. I think that's the whole purpose of it. Like, don't make other people feel bad. Yes, it's a conversation that you should have, but with the other person who you're trying to hook up with, but don't put it in your profile. It's tacky.
Yeah, I think so. And lastly, we couldn't, it's called the masked bandit when someone looks hot until his or her mask comes off. This one cracked me up. Someone said this actually happened with my dentist. I was dead sure for about 4 months that he was drop dead gorgeous just based off his eyes. Then when the mask came down, he didn't look quite how I thought. Still attractive, but odd teeth for a dentist. And I have to say, earlier today, I was working out and my friend and I were working out in the gym, and we were kind of admiring this other person in the gym, thinking, wow, that person over there has a great body. Mm-hmm. And they did. And when they got closer, I was like, okay, pretty blue eyes, but not quite sure. I couldn't see the whole package. I don't know if it was a yay or a nay. The body, yes. But then again, maybe that's what we do anyway in the gay world. We start with the body anyway. Sure. It's dark, and in the end, you really realize the morning after what they really look like. And at that point, you're hungover, and they're out the door.
That's happened to me way more times than I can count. And it's always scary and shocking whenever it does happen. And I can't get out of there fast enough, or I can't get them out of my space fast enough, whichever one it ends up happening, whichever happens to be. So I get that one. And it just reminds me of, you remember that in Clueless when they were like full on Monet, like from far away, they're beautiful, but when they get up close, it's just a mess. So yeah, I'm guilty of that one too. And I probably am a masker as far as like people think when I take my mask off then. So we'll see. You never know.
Exactly. JJ says that shit is real. Keep the mask on.
That's a good solution to that, actually. Just keep your mask on, boo. It's like a bag over their head when you have sex.
Or replace it with one of those BDSM masks or Mexican masks. Like, just choose a new mask so that they don't get offended, but you keep it within the sex BDSM world.
No, you can make it for your safety.
Yeah, and
I'm trying to be as safe as possible, so keep that mask on.
I love it. Pants off. Yes, JJ. That is so funny. All right, we've got to move on to our segment that we've been doing since we started this show called Vulnerable Voices. And if you listen to last week's show, we were talking about our gay biological clock. I love that title, Gay Biological Clock. This is part 2. Last week, we focused a lot. I just really quickly was talking about going on social media and finding an ex of mine and another ex at a different time that had just gotten married. And it started to trigger a little bit of jealousy that I was talking about. But even though I ended it with both of these guys, but it also triggered for me a little bit on, am I where I need or want to be right now, given that these two people that were my partners at one point are now married, and I'm not. Not that I even want to be married. That's the crazy shit. But that's why I don't do social media so much. But moving on to part 2, just to get you guys up to speed, we wanted to move it on to our gay biological clock in terms of things like how our body has changed. And just on a positive note, you and I have talked about how you were telling me offline that people think of you look younger than you appear in real life.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that, and then we'll go on.
All of the time. I get mistaken for younger than I am because not only do I look young, and I look young, okay, but I have such a youthful vibe and a youthful spirit. Maybe it's because I hang around a lot of young people at the same time, just because they keep me young.
Honey, you're a child. You're a child.
But yeah, and
Silas is younger, just FYI. Listener Silas.
Younger acting.
Okay, now.
We as gay men put a lot of expectations on our appearance, and because of that, we prioritize youth in our community to where like older people are relegated to the fringes of our society, I feel like, to our community.
Absolutely. Definitely a good point on ageism in our community and how we can feel vulnerability with that. I was telling you offline that I was so excited about turning 50. And then when 50 came, I seemed to get in my head a lot and was feeling like looking at older pictures of myself and realizing that I don't look, and my body, albeit looks good for me, doesn't look like it used to look, even at 40.
Yeah.
And I was going through this kind of downward spiral for a minute. But I've recently kind of come out of it. And more recently, I don't know if it's been hanging around people my own age that are like-minded individuals. And I'm really enjoying my workouts right now. And I'm feeling good about where I'm at. And I mean, it's all you have, right? So you don't have a lot of choices on that. But I'm feeling good, essentially, about my age. Any comments? Jump in there if there's any comments, because I have a lot to add to this conversation.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm comfortable being with myself, but I definitely feel the need and the desire to be in a relationship and be married. It's something that's high on my priority list, but I don't think that it necessarily has to happen if it's not with the right person. I think the right person is more important than being with anybody. I'm comfortable with I can do bad all by myself, Steve, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think you tap into a whole thing about offline. You were telling me about at one point when gay marriage became legal, you were feeling that kind of pressure. Maybe, when am I going to get married? When am I? The thing about
even before that, actually, I've always wanted to get married, even when it wasn't legal.
And on the other side of that, you've always told me that you wanted kids. The thing about that is you don't have to be married to have kids. I mean, look at Anderson Cooper and
Andy Cohen.
Andy Cohen.
Yes.
I know.
The Andys.
It's a whole new world right now on how you can have your own kids. And they did the surrogacy. You could adopt. And there's all kinds of ways. I mean, I'm not saying that's what I would do if I were to have kids.
Yeah,
but
I would adopt as well. There's too many kids out there that need homes.
Silas says rich and rich. Yeah,
exactly.
Good point. You know what? Actually, good point. So let's bring that portion up into it, because I know you're on your way to being rich just like them.
Hey,
but
building an empire just like you.
Is there a feeling that you would want to have finances together before you'd want to have a kid on your own? Or not that, I mean, I know you do, but I don't know. Can you speak to that?
I would want to be financially stable. And I think that includes having a partner to raise the kid. I grew up a single child, and I know how it has affected me in my growing into an adult. So not that I wouldn't want to put that on a child, but for me, I would want to have two parents to be able to take care of a child and just kind of guide them through life, because it takes a village to raise a child, really. So, and I think it really starts with two parents guiding a child.
Well, Jen says you have two vaginas waiting.
I
So
saw
friends of
that,
yours.
and I got a little scared.
If you gotta be honest.
But
But
Jen totally disagrees with me about having two parents.
so you said you had a single parent,
Yeah.
and you turned out great though.
Well,
So
thank you, but it took a lot
yeah.
of work to turn out great. So
Think times are different though, and your mentality and everything is a lot different. So it's not you can't
I
you know
had
what
to
I'm
grow
saying?
up faster in a lot of ways, being the child of a single mother, and I had to take care of my two younger siblings. So it forced me to grow up, and then it kind of regressed how into my adulthood, as far as me being able to take responsibility for things, because I didn't get to play as a child. So because I had so many responsibilities. So I through my 20s and through my 30s, I played around way too much. So yeah, here I am now. It made me into a man child. So for me personally, I would want to have two parents for my child.
Okay, fair enough. And just a sidebar on that, I have a friend that went into that mentality as well with his partner,
Okay.
and they were going to adopt, and they went through the whole process only to find that they were had a child waiting for them.
Mm-hmm.
And right before they were going to get the child, my friend's
Mm-hmm.
husband or boyfriend at the time backed out of the whole relationship.
Oh my
All,
goodness.
and my friend had a choice to make at that. He told this, I can say his name, Teddy Bass, and he's been on our show before. He's
Oh,
a fitness expert.
Teddy.
He ended deciding to move forward with it, and it's been the best decision of his life to raise this child. It wasn't the direction he was heading in, but he had a choice to make at that time. Should he back out too? And he said, no, we've put too much into this. And his son now, it's been years now, is a teenager, and
Mm-hmm.
they have the best, David and Teddy have the best relationship, father
That's
and son.
amazing.
And it's and so he went into it the way you were thinking,
Mm-hmm.
just like what you wanted. And he talks about it, about how devastated he was, that I can't do this now. He had to make that decision. So it can be done, and he
Okay.
wanted to do it the way you wanted to, but sometimes life faces us in the mirror and says, sorry, we got another plan for you. So
Yeah.
anyway, things to think about. Greg, I wanted to read this comment from you. Age is relevant, he says, Steve. Health is everything. I'm turning 66 and feel and act like a 40-year-old. Ooh, I love that. I would rather hang with younger guys any day. Still looking for my soulmate. Greg, 100% agree with you. I turned 50, and in recent months, I was telling Cody offline in our gay biological clock, I had that moment, I think, where I was going, what am I doing? Where's my career? I am so living in the moment right now and so happy of this moment with everything that's going on and the people I've surrounded myself around, like-minded individuals, and not just people that are agreeing with me by any means. I had a
Mm-hmm.
great conversation with one of my best friends earlier. We were going back and forth politically about the Governor Cuomo situation going on right now. And then
Yeah.
we let it rest, and we moved on to our workout. And he's a little older than me, and he's such a workout inspiration to me. And I've given him workout tips. So yeah, I think soulmate, I'm not quite there yet. I think at some point, sure, I would definitely be looking for somebody to spend time with. But I'm so really consciously acknowledging the happiness that I'm feeling right now with what's going on, and I want to really enjoy that. But I love that. Thank you for saying that. Anything else, Cody, that we want to read before we move on?
Jen says that she was adopted at 50 and her adoptive mother was single. So that actually brings me a lot of hope for
Jen
my
was adopted
situation.
at what?
She was adopted. Her mother was 50 when she adopted her.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. Love it. I think we could talk more on this, but
We
anything
can
else you
talk
want to?
much, much longer on this.
But I think we can move on because I love. Unless you want to read some more or go on, Cody.
Greg says, as long as you're at peace with yourself and happy, that's all that matters. And I agree with that 100%.
As,
Did you want to talk more about the things that go on with your body biologically as far as like what your sexual experiences
yeah.
are?
We listed this. I love this name, and we might make this another topic at another time. But I just got to throw it
Okay.
out there.
Okay.
Sexpectations. Just let that sit. Our expectations on ourselves. And the reason I tell this story that could relate to sexpectations is a listener wrote into us about how he just had surgery on his prostate and he can still have sex, but he no longer releases any semen, any cum. When he ejaculates, he still can have sex with his partner and he's happy with it. And I was writing back to our listener and saying, yeah, I've noticed that when I was younger, did I use up all my semen and my cum? Because now when I come, I don't come as much as I used to. I just don't. Not that I don't have any, and he wrote back and said, oh no, that's something when many of us, not all of us, turn 50, your semen load can reduce. And that's just a fact of aging. And I was like, okay, well that actually makes me feel better. And then I know tricks of the trade too on how if you just hold out for a while via tantra or just don't jack off every 5 minutes, you can actually build it up more too. So there are other ways, but that's part of expectations that can come up. I'm still as horny as ever, still can get it up as ever. I know that there's tools for all of that. So yeah, no. But it's a great time to assess your sex and where you're at with it. And you can do things like talk to your doctor, and often you have to be the proponent and the initiator and ask, for example, your doctor to do a testosterone test and see where your testosterone's at. And it's a simple, easy test. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Well, for me, I feel like I have to be emotionally invested in someone in order to actually get an erection and to stay hard and to maintain an erection. Before, it could have been, I've had sex with women. That should give you some concept of how easy it was for me to get an erection before I could get hard and stay hard and no problems. But now, as I'm getting older, I have to have that emotional connection as well. And I think that is where the sexpectations for me is becoming more evident, because I still come a lot, but it's the getting and the maintaining. If I don't like you, it's like Droop City. It's
yeah.
So
they often say you can't hide it. I mean, either you get hard or you don't get hard, and the load is a different thing but it can be an indicator of what's going on in your age bracket, or just some people come more than others. I think it's just a thing. Anyways, all right. So we've got to move on. Thanks for playing on that. We play this game with vulnerability each week. Moving on, we had to talk about this topic that came, two topics actually, and we're going to kind of merge the two in our last segment here. And the first came from Sherry Pie, who was a contestant on RuPaul's Drag Race last season. What would that be, Cody?
12. That is that was a little quiz you got going on there for me. And I passed, honey.
Just to get everybody up to speed in a nutshell, and I know you will correct me, Cody, if I get it wrong, but Sherry Pie was a contestant on last season's RuPaul's Drag Race, and as the season went on, midway through the season, essentially they excluded and wrote in the production notes of the show. So if you were going to tune in, they said Sherry Pie will no longer be a part of the season. And they've edited her out for the most part
as much as
of
they
the
could.
series based on what had occurred with, I don't know Sherry Pie's real name. I can't remember it, but the guy that is Sherry Pie, for what he was being accused of and what he is guilty of, and essentially he's guilty of catfishing so many guys online, including many of his friends, out posing as a casting director for film, TV roles, and getting good-looking guys that he catfished, getting them to take their clothes off, record videos of themselves, send them in, send nude pictures of them, and often, like I said, these were his friends. Well, that was the whole story of that. And recently, just this week, the Tamron Hall talk show had Sherry Pie on to interview him about all of these allegations and where he's at with it. And the interesting thing is less about the interview that occurred, because you didn't learn a whole lot. Yes, he's sorry. Yes, he's trying to do better. Yes, he says he's barely scratched the surface on his penance on on moving forward, not only for the people that he violated, but for the LGBTQ community at large. That's really it in a nutshell on where he came from. Where the controversy came, and where, in talking to Cody, where so many gay people, LGBTQ people, had a problem, was the fact that Tamron Hall even had him and gave this interview. And I think, if I will speak, and then I want to hear your side of it, I think so many people thought that Tamron Hall was giving Sherry Pie a platform that they felt she didn't deserve, given the vile actions that she had done to so many people. And they were so upset and placed anger towards Tamron for even doing the interview. And I never thought that in my mind, because I just thought it's an interview. People do hard case interviews all the time. And she had to spend most of, at least a good portion of her show, discussing on why she's a journalist for 30 years. And I'm not even a Tamron Hall fan. And I got, yeah, you can do hard case interviews. It doesn't mean you're giving them a platform, but you're putting them on blast. You're not endorsing them. You're not saying that they're off the hook. You're not saying any of that, but you're just wanting the conversation to be had. And I definitely got that. Where I thought it failed on me was I didn't think there was anything new added to the conversation at all. I thought it was a poor interview in general, and maybe not pushed enough. And we got it. She's sorry, and that's it. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Are people talking, or?
Yeah, Silas agrees with you that she is a journalist first, and a well-respected journalist. And Jen says they wouldn't be saying that. So they both agree with you. If it was on 2020, then they wouldn't have anything to say. And I do not agree with any of you. I was so on the fence about even watching the interview, giving it any a view, a like, anything on social media, giving her another view on cable. I don't even really have cable, but you know what I'm talking about. Because the Sherry Pie's victims haven't had any interviews from what I have seen, and they're giving her the platform to go on this apology tour. From what I understand, Sherry Pie. Oh, sorry, Predator Pie. That's what I'm calling her from now on.
Okay.
Predator Pie has not been dropped from her management, and she is on she's on the warpath to come back from all of this fallout that she has had.
Well, you didn't get that in the interview at all.
Oh, really?
No, not at all.
I didn't watch it, and I rely on you. I relied on you just because I only wanted to watch the interview because I knew we were going to be reporting on it.
And to your first point, they did reach out to some of the other people, and there wasn't anybody that wanted to also come on the show to talk about it. So
really,
yeah, and it wasn't at all. You didn't walk away with. I just think it was in the end, was trying to understand why everybody was so up in arms, because I don't see the platform. What I do see is I was excited because it was because in a platform, and I'm using our
Mm-hmm.
show as a platform, we talk about our LGBTQ community. We're always talking about the press that's happening in our own community, which is a
Okay.
big deal. And RuPaul's Drag Race is a big deal. And that was a big deal, what happened. So to get that story on a major network, albeit the Tamron Hall show, but it was on ABC and she's a big deal. I thought the discussion is there. She's not going to sensationalize it. It's not like it was Jerry Springer or something like
Yeah.
that. I thought one of our stories that was a negative story in our community, but a reality that happened within our community.
Oh, for sure. I agree with you.
I like that it was on network morning TV, that it almost legitimized that this is a part of, because we're starting to see all kinds, and you can't filter out, Cody.
You cannot.
You can't
In
filter
my
out.
mind,
Let's only
I kind
have
of want to.
no, but you can't filter out, like, because there was a guy she had on, a blogger later, that was black, that
Okay.
he and Tamron, who's black, for people who don't know, said it's almost like when Tamron said, when you were a kid and you used to see a crime happening on the afternoon news, and you were like, please God, don't make this person Latino. Or in her case, black.
What do you mean?
So we often say that too. We have crossover too. You have Latino, black, and gay, and LGBTQ. Please don't make them. But you know what? It's reality, and we can't just report on the the out 100 and not report on other things that are happening. It would be false. And I think it's a discussion, and we, no one's crucifying anybody, and no one was making Sherry Pie, like, nothing about the interview was, oh wow, she's vindicated in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I trust you, and I trust your judgment.
And I think fear of not wanting to watch something it's just, no, it's happening. It's, you participated in RuPaul's Drag Race. This was a controversy that you weighed in, that you were a part of. Not, you weren't a part of it, but and now it's on network TV being just discussed. Before, I never understand the people that just jump to Twitter and are already mad. It's like, okay, I don't even like Tamron Hall. I will go on record with that. She's not my favorite type of, but she did it fine, and it can happen. There can be a conversation on TV of something that you watched.
So what I don't want this to turn into is the Sherry Pie apology tour, to where she's come back with open arms, that we accept her back with open arms. Like, she should apologize, but she should disappear after this. I don't think that this should be her being vindicated. And you said it's not that, so I'm here for it then. I'm okay with it. I'm not actually a big fan of it, but I'm not going to watch that. I'm not going to give it any more energy than I have to, basically.
Okay. Any comments we should read real quick? And finally,
Jen says she's nosy, so she wants to actually. Silas agrees with you, and he says he's glad that someone finally touched on it. So, I mean,
me too. I am too.
There.
It was a hot topic. It was. I agree. To me, it was kind of a full circle, because if you watch, for those of us that watch that season of RuPaul's Drag Race, or just watch RuPaul's Drag Race and knew the story, when that happened, it was somewhat.
It was a big deal.
It was a big deal, and to see that in that note that they would put on every single,
it was on every episode,
and the note being, for people that don't know, was, FYI, there's a contestant that is no longer going to be shown on the show. A disclaimer note. Let's just say that, a disclaimer note that we had to see every single time. And every so often, if you'd be watching the show, you could see Sherry Pie in the background for those episodes that followed. And to me, this was kind of full circle in a lot of ways. I'm not sure if that's what Silas is saying, but it was full circle, because it was almost like it came and went. And when you're invested in a show like RuPaul's Drag Race week after week, and it's drama already, and then this is major drama in real life, to just be like, okay, well, yeah, I don't want anything. No, I wanted to see the Tamron Hall show to wrap. I needed to wrap this up in my mind. It was unlike you, Cody. It was, and to the people that were all like, like on their Twitter, it's like people.
I wasn't on Twitter, you know, but I was reading it.
Calm the fuck down, y'all. It's like,
you know what?
She's a journalist, and I want this wrapped up in my head, and I'm all about media, and I was here for that interview. I was at 10 a.m. I was watching it.
It's not anything that I needed to see to wrap anything up. To me, she's canceled. She doesn't really.
Well, it's part of what I do on this show. I have to, and I made you even talk about it.
If you would ask me to watch it, I would have watched it just for the purposes. And
for the record,
so Cody, I appreciate you.
I would never make you do what you don't want to do. Absolutely. But thanks for playing on that. And Jen says, in light. Oh, yes. Can you read that? Because that's what they wrote on there. Thanks, Jen.
They wrote, in light of recent developments.
Wait. Just let's preface this. Remember, I was talking about you would get a note every single time you tuned in. This is what you would read as you're invested in season 12 of RuPaul's Drag Race. Go ahead.
In light of recent developments in Sherry Pie's statement, Sherry Pie has been disqualified from RuPaul's Drag Race. And I think
you're going to tell me that you're not going to want to know what the inside details was and get her hear her out? Well,
I would rather hear from the victims. I would rather hear from the victims.
Hall did, and I can't believe I'm defending Tamron
Hall. And Jennifer and Silas too, because all of y'all are nosy.
I'm a Wendy Williams fan, and I need the dirt, or at least to make up my mind. There's a whole nother story that we were going to continue on with. I don't think we have time, Cody. Do we? Or no? Right?
Can we get into it really quick?
Real quick. It reminded me of this story, and I'm just going to. Let's just get into it. It's fired director Chichi LaRue, or as she says, Shishi LaRue. Recently, model Poppy Suave lied about. She says Shishi LaRue says that Poppy Suave lied about sexual assault to get attention and blames the performer to get ahead with his career. Well, last June, just to get you guys all up to speed, Poppy Suave is a porn star, came forward with his story of being sexually assaulted by a drunken Chichi LaRue during production of a film. And the incident took place in LaRue's hotel room, where LaRue told Suave he would, quote, make him a star before LaRue forcefully shoved his hands down the model's pants, according to Suave. Well, 1 week after the accusations were made against him, LaRue, who as Suave's director was effectively his boss on the production, LaRue admitted to drinking excessively and sexually harassing Suave in the hotel room. He admitted that.
That's a clincher for me.
So that's that part. So now I think I'm just going to paraphrase because I know the rest of the story. So I'm just going to paraphrase the rest of the story. So essentially, LaRue admitted to that, and now was dropped from his studio where he was a director and making films and being booked as a drag queen. I guess he does that as well. And now has gone on Instagram Live recently and tried to change the story, even though he already admitted that he was drunk and did that, and is accusing Suave of making the whole thing up. And to put a button on the, and I hate that saying, I don't know why I said that, but to put a button on the end of that story, to put a condom on the end of that story, LaRue is essentially saying that he's out of work and can't get a job, and boo-hoo-hoo me is essentially where the story's going. You get it, I'm sure. Did I tell the story okay in a nutshell?
You told it wonderfully. I got everything I needed.
Let's discuss.
Let's discuss.
When is it okay when a white, gay, and albeit it's in our community, but this person, LaRue, this isn't the first time he's been accused of crossing a line sexually, as it's only now to quote Silas, it's like Harvina Weinstein, as Silas said, that there's so much in our community that there's predators, even when they are in the LGBT community. It's sad and unfortunate, but you can't admit to something, Cody, that you did. I got drunk and I did this, and then come back around and say, but my career's like in jeopardy now, and am I gonna have to, and he says in the article, I think you read it too, am I gonna have to work at Costco, I think he said, or Starbucks?
That sent me so far. I was like, oh, she's above it.
And I thought, if you're lucky, you would get a job at Costco or Starbucks, because I don't think they're gonna want your nasty ass over there.
Oh, what were your man thoughts? I could not believe, I went into it like impartial because I didn't have any idea what was going on when you sent me the story.
Popeye's is hiring.
No, honey, she looked like she can't cook. Okay.
No. I love a good target, and I don't want Shishi LaBrue over at my target. Sorry.
No, so neither one. Keep that bitch in the basement. All right. So I went into it impartial. I didn't know what was going on. But after you sent me the story, I was like, she admitted to it basically, and then came back around and is complaining about not being able to get a job, not being able to get hired. Like, you did this to yourself, you know?
Instead of doing the work, and work takes a lot of time, and taking this year to fess up to here, you can't admit to wronging that Papi Suave, and what an insult to him to basically admit that, yeah, I did this to you, and then accuse him, an ethnic person, I'm just going to go there and say it, that I already admitted that I did this to you, but now months have gone by and I'm not getting any work. And I retract that now because my work is now being affected by that. And now whatever I said, you made all this up. Fuck off.
Yeah, and I know it's so horrible. And it also makes me think about, in the world of porn, like, how often does something like this happen and nobody reports it?
Much more than you and I could have time to talk about this. Jen, you're better off find a spot. Well, yes.
Not on the 405 exit.
Not on the 405. But you can't. I love your other comment. You can't be a victim and a perpetrator in the same instance. Yes. Preach. Exactly. And I think that's what this whole story said to me too, is, just to kind of tie in the Sherry Pie thing, and feel how you want about Sherry Pie being interviewed on the Tamron Hall show. There was nothing, and I invite anyone, if you're really curious to disagree with me, watch the interview. It doesn't say a whole lot, so I'm just going to say that. But nothing about it says she is trying to, that she says she's barely scraped the surface of the work that she needs to do, or he needs to do. And nothing was other than acknowledgement of what he did, but not looking for an apology either.
Yeah. Okay. So I believe you. I'm not going to watch it. I don't need it.
You don't have to. But on the other hand, I'm just saying, at least admitting and basking and having to sit on a screen where Cameron was not vindicating him at all, sitting in, this is where we're at, this is where I'm at, I have so much work to do, I am sorry. Okay, just sit with that. As opposed to Shishi, on the other hand,
I was just going to ask you,
changing the story when finally the coin isn't coming in anymore, and now is changing the story vindictively. So I do, in some ways, give Sherry Pie at least a little credit for, hey, this is where I'm at. But it's not changing anything. I don't think she's getting hired or anything. But I do think it's so insidious to then, on the Shishi LaRue side, to when you figure out you're not making a coin, to demonize the person that you had already admitted that you had victimized.
Yes. Yeah. I guess only time will tell as far as what will happen with these two, and we'll see if they are they're okay in the eyes of the community, or what happens with them.
All right, Jen, yes, record it. I want to hear from you next week. We will have a little segment where I want to hear what your thoughts on this. Just two different types of predators. Yep, Silas, they are. We kind of just merged. Thought it was kind of relevant that they kind of came in the news at the same time, but totally different types of predators. Burn them all. Send them to Texas. Oh, our thoughts and prayers, though, to people in Texas right now, for sure. And I want to thank everybody for watching. And thank you, Cody Maurice Doggett.
Thank you, darling.
Absolutely. You can follow Cody at Mr. Maurice. I love saying that. Mistah Maurice. And what's your other Instagram?
KMD Coaching. For my coaching business.
AMD Coaching for his coaching. We love you, Jen. We love you, Silas. We love everybody that tuned in, Teddy, and so much, Greg, and everybody else. Follow us,
guys.
Follow us at TAGSPodcast. And in the meantime, wear your mask